Greetings, unsettled souls. Welcome to the Correct Views. It is Sam Gangi, giving a political commentary, as it were, today from the van. And that's because the studio does not have the internet. Why does the studio not have the internet? Because the show needs money for the studio to have said internet. For that matter, donkey dong, just to get a camera that didn't suck. However, if you would like to help, you can do so at the correctviews@hotmail.com. And I'll get really short as we get ready to dive into what is our Christmas show. Now, for those of you who do not know, perhaps you're new, hit subscribe, welcome aboard. I like to do my Christmas shows in a way that you can use them after Christmas. I don't like to post shows that are useless a week from now. So I'm going to address how Christ is being removed from Christmas, but I'm going to do so in a way that will be prudent long after Christmas is over. So don't tune out and don't be afraid to hit share months from now when you see this, because you're about to find not a very intelligent, thoughtful commentary going into it. For one thing, we know that Christ was born. The people that say that we don't know if Christ was real, that's nonsense. It's utter nonsense. There's more proof that Christ was real than there are that some people today are real. We also know beyond a shadow of a doubt that he rose from the dead. That's not an opinion. It's not what I think. It can be proven. Look up the case for faith. Look up the case for Christ. It can be proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, which is what we use in the court of law, that the incidents laid out in the Bible happened the way that the Bible said that they did. Now that is being taken from us for a reason. And I don't mean us as in Christians. I mean us as in Americans. Us as in the West. Us as in even non-Christians, because Christians do not have to accept what Christ taught, but to deny the history of what Christ did is a massive injustice. You don't have to like that Adolf Hitler ran Germany. You don't have to like that, you have to get up to work in the morning. You may not like the fact that Jesus Christ rose from the dead. It might be as offensive to you as Adolf Hitler, because it might make you question a few things that you used to not question before. Fact. Irrefutable fact that it happened. Therefore, what I'm about to read you is quite disturbing, because it works to dispel known facts and have them truncated to something less than facts in order to limit and the very basis of who we are as a people. Religious holiday, a growing number of Americans is saying no. Now, isn't it interesting that when Halloween rolls around, everybody starts clamoring and talking about how it's so evil, it draws you in. And yet, most people don't really worship the devil on Halloween. However, start talking about Christ, oh my God, it's not a religious holiday at all. No, it's all about the gifts. Well, for some cretins it might be. Maybe if you're somebody that hangs around Castell. Combatants in the annual war on Christmas have some, did I say that out loud, have some new data to chew on thanks to a survey released this week by the Pew Research Center. While many doubt that Christmas is embattled, as some conservative pundits contend, the new study does suggest that American attitudes are changing. And friends, this is not for the better. The Pew study, based on interviews conducted in 1,503 adults, found that while a vast majority of Americans still celebrate Christmas, most find the religious elements of the holiday are emphasized less than in the past. And few of them care about that change. And I could tell you why that is. It's for two reasons. First of all, we live in a me time. Me. All that matters to anyone is themselves. Of anybody else at the expense of oneself is almost never done. That doesn't fit into the precepts of Christmas. The other thing people don't like is the fact that want their presence, they want the me, but they don't want to have to take a look at actual proven historical facts. Welcome, people. I'm glad you're tuning in. Let others know. Don't go away. Absolute fact that is being denied. That is so that our cultural awareness can be taken from us. And that some people are happy with that because they don't ever have to look inward. Like much else in the U.S., a strong partisan divide runs through the survey results, with responses from Republicans seeming to place an emphasis on the religion and Democrats on secularism. That's because Democrats are the most me, give it to me free people in the world. That's why. The data complicate efforts to portray Christmas as either in mortal danger or in no trouble at all. I would say that it is in quite a bit of trouble if we have a group of people or a number of people who are coming into the holiday and pretending that it wasn't a religious holiday. Then I would say that the very most important aspects of the holiday and of religion in general have been destroyed. So I couldn't disagree more with what they said here, but you can celebrate Christmas in some form, a figure that has hardly budged at all since 2013. 56% of Americans believe that the religious elements of Christmas are emphasized less, and only about 32% of Americans say that development bothers them a lot or some. So what we're finding is that America has been so dumbed down that the actual historical proof of Jesus Christ means nothing to them, as long as they get their big screen TV and it makes them feel good, maybe to buy a gift for somebody else so that they can say, I cared about you. 55% of Americans said they celebrated Christmas as a religious holiday, but 4 years ago, 59% said they celebrated it as a religious holiday. In 2013, 86% of celebrants said that they would spend Christmas Eve or Christmas with loved ones. Now, see, that's another part of it, is because we live in a generation where the only thing that we care about is each other. We tend to not put much emphasis on families. How many of you listening to this have a father in the house? Or you're listening to it with your mother? Maybe your father visits. Maybe you don't even know who your father is. And if you do, you don't really know who he is. Well, see, these are things and say that were important a long time ago, back when Christ still at least had the honor of having the truth told about him, who he was when he was born, what he did when he was alive, and the fact that he rose himself from the dead. Now, you don't have to believe that he's God, although I think to have all those facts put in front of you and to come to any other conclusion is silly, but you don't have to take that next step. But to deny the facts as we know them to be in massive injustice. And friends, that brings us to the dumbdee of the day. You are going to get another Christmas show before I'm done. Fear not. But I want to give you this real quick because I thought it was interesting. How many of you have seen the Polar Express? Now, I don't know if any of you know this, but if you followed last year's show, you did. Christelle and I worked on the Polar Express. We took pictures of families as they were going to the North Pole. And I hadn't seen the movie prior, believe it or not. Everybody else had but me. I thought it was an underground film. I've since found out it's one of the most popular films of the Christmas season. I did not know. Well, there's a scene where the reindeer are blocking the train going to the North Pole. And you probably think that that's something they made up for the movie. Well, it's not. As the dumbdee of the day will show you here, reindeer bloodbath. I told you I was not in the best of mood this year. Horror! As 106 of the beasts are run down and killed by trains in 4 days in northern Norway. What were they doing? Having a convention on the tracks? Freight trains have killed 106 reindeer in 4 days after drivers didn't receive a warning for railway bosses to slow down. Maybe the deer should move. The animals were hit on 3 occasions this week on land at Kolfabura. It's in northern Norway. 60 just on Saturday. It followed the death of 26 on Wednesday and 15 on Thursday, despite rail operator Baynor telling the landlord trains will drive slowly in the route. The government transport group have been warned about the danger several times, according to the site Helaglegdigun. Well, it's not afraid to get where it's got to go so much. Why don't they spend enough money to put the deer repellent, the noises on the lines? Oh, but that costs money. Meanwhile, the train lines are supposed to spend an absolute fortune by driving slower and getting the parcels there God only knows when. And we'll blame the train driver. And I'll tell you, it was the dumbdee of the day. Gel, who has looked after reindeer, I guess not very well, since he was a boy, was at the scene on Saturday and said it was a catastrophe for people looking after the animals in the wider community. This is a tragedy for me and 3 other reindeer, the 59-year-old told the news site Aftenposten. I was on the spot night to Saturday, and this was a terrible sight. Well, why don't you spend more money to make sure this doesn't happen? How about gates? Ever hear of that? Something special to us who do this. They mean almost everything to us, and the animals form the basis of our existence. Success in our deer herd is catastrophic. Well, then make sure they're not by the damn tracks, you moron! One of the reindeer hit on Saturday was dragged along the track by the train, according to the owner. Many of the animals carry the transmitters, which told Applejill that they had descended from the mountains to the railway track. Didn't know about it. Owners have been trying to move the herd to the coast for the winter, advising Baynor to drive carefully until the reindeer have been moved. How the hell do you drive a train carefully? The communication broke down and drivers traveled at their usual speed. We received the confirmation of the business activity, and they are working on fixing it. Look, here's the problem here. Common sense is not used here. Not all. We have the technology to get this to quit happening, and it's because we have not spent the money that would be prudent for us to spend to do it. Therefore, we do not blame the trains for traveling too fast. We should be blaming the people who have allowed this to happen in order for the trains to even come in contact with this problem. And friends, you're listening to the correct views at hotmail.com, and that is where you can address. That's the address, I should say, that you can send your donations to. Friends, this show has nothing. Nothing but the truth. That is what I bring you without fail. If you would like it to be brought to you by my studio again, then please donate. You can do so through PayPal at thecorrectviews@hotmail.com. Don't let the season get you down, friends, even if you've had family put a knife in your back. Remember that there is a very real God, and that the people who likely have depressed you are people who are far less, people who probably weren't worthy of the love and admiration that you gave to them to begin with. Good night, friends. God bless.